All right, let's dive into this explainer. Think of this as your ultimate legal survival guide for navigating a summer vacation in Lake Tahoe. Whether you're planning a quick weekend trip with the family or a massive getaway with your friends, understanding how local laws and the bail system actually work in this specific tourist hotspot could literally save your vacation.
Picture this. You're visiting the crystal clear waters of Lake Tahoe for a picture-perfect summer getaway. You've got the cabin booked, the sunscreen packed, and you're totally ready to just relax. But suddenly, a simple mistake turns the whole trip upside down, and someone in your group ends up in handcuffs. Yikes, right? It's a scary thought. But figuring out exactly why this happens so often during the summer and knowing exactly how to handle it is absolutely crucial for anyone visiting the area.
To really grasp what's going on, we have to look at how Lake Tahoe completely transforms from Memorial Day to Labor Day. See, during the winter, it's got this very quiet, local mountain community vibe. But summer, it gets flooded with millions of tourists. It's kind of like a quiet school hallway while everyone's in class, suddenly erupting into absolute chaos when the lunch bell rings. That massive, sudden population surge completely changes the game for the local community and local law enforcement.
And these four things right here create the perfect storm for legal trouble. First, that massive crowd of people we just talked about. Second, lots of alcohol mixed with outdoor recreation, beach parties and long days out on the boat. Third, a much heavier police presence to keep everyone safe. And finally, out-of-town visitors who simply don't know the local rules. When you mix all that together, you get the absolute busiest season of the year for arrests in Placer County. Because of all those extra people and parties, local law enforcement has to significantly ramp up their patrols. They're specifically watching the main travel corridors, Highways 89, 28, and 267. So if you're driving around the North Shore during a busy holiday weekend, you're going to see a lot more police cruisers and DUI checkpoints than you normally would. They're out there to maintain order, which naturally means they're catching a lot more infractions.
All right, moving on to Section 1, Common Summer Tourist Mistakes, from celebrations to citations.
So let's look at the most frequent and, honestly, sometimes totally accidental mistakes that visitors make that can actually land them in the Placer County Jail. That vacation mindset often leads people to let their guard down a bit too much. The most common charges during the summer are DUIs, which spike massively on holiday weekends like the 4th of July. Then you've got public intoxication and disorderly conduct at crowded music festivals or beach bars. Drug-related charges definitely go up, along with simple assault charges, which usually just means a fight broke out in a crowded, high-energy environment. These are the things local bail bondsmen are dealing with day in and day out during those warm months.
But here is a really crucial point. Not all arrests happen because someone's throwing a wild party. Many tourists innocently wander onto a beautiful stretch of beach, totally unaware that it's actually restricted private property. Lake Tahoe has very specific boundaries for private lakefront homes. Just wandering past an unmarked line while you're trying to take a nice evening walk along the water can result in a surprise trespassing arrest. It literally happens to perfectly well-meaning families every single summer.
And this lack of awareness totally extends to the water with a BUI, or boating under the influence. This is an extremely specific summer charge. A lot of folks think that driving a boat after a few drinks is somehow less serious than driving a car. But nope, in California, a BUI is treated exactly the same as a standard DUI. The police are out there on the water patrolling, and if you get caught, you face the exact same severe penalties, the same high bail amounts, and the same trip to the county jail.
Which brings us to Section 2, how bail actually works. The safety net for out-of-towners.
If a mistake does happen, how does the local bail system actually adapt to help a tourist who might live hundreds of miles away from Lake Tahoe? Look, if your loved one gets arrested, but your family is out of state, you're probably going to panic. You might be wondering, wait, does my family have to jump on an airplane and travel all the way to Placer County just to get me out of jail? It is a terrifying thought to be stuck in a cell while your support system is thousands of miles away, trying to navigate a totally unfamiliar legal system.
Fortunately, there is a very clear action plan for out-of-towners. Step 1. Call a local Tahoe City bondsman immediately. They work 24/7. Step 2. Do not drive to the Placer County Jail. Human instinct tells us to rush to the jail, but doing that actually slows things down. And Step 3. Handle it remotely. A good local bail bondsman can do all the paperwork and process the payment with your family over the phone. You literally don't need to be physically present in California to bail out a loved one.
However, you do have to be a little patient. Because of that massive summer crowd we talked about earlier, the jail gets absolutely packed. Think of it like a popular theme park. In the winter, there are basically no lines, but on the 4th of July, you are going to wait a long time for a ride. The exact same goes for the jail. Booking someone into the system and processing their release after bail is posted takes significantly longer during the busy summer holidays. A good bondsman will keep your family updated, but for sure, expect delays.
Now, when it comes to the cost, a lot of people worry about surge pricing during the summer. Like how a rideshare app charges you way more on a busy Saturday night. But bail doesn't work that way. California law dictates a flat 10% premium for a bail bond. So, if the bail is set at $10,000, the fee to the bondsman is exactly $1,000. That 10% rule applies regardless of the season, the holiday, or the specific charge you're facing.
Moving on to Section 3, Rules for Out-of-Towners. Just because you're going home doesn't mean it's over.
Getting released from the Placer County Jail is an incredible relief, for sure, but it's really only the first part of resolving the conflict. Tourists still have strict obligations to fulfill. And guys, this is the most critical takeaway for any visitor. Even if you live hundreds of miles away in another state, you cannot just go home and forget this ever happened. You must return to the Placer County Superior Court for your hearing. If you skip your court date just because it's a hassle to travel back, the judge will issue a bench warrant for your arrest, and the bail money that was paid will be completely forfeited. Going home doesn't make the legal process magically disappear. So, knowing the local rules and exactly who to call can literally be the difference between a minor hiccup and a life-altering legal nightmare. So ask yourself, if the absolute worst happens on your dream vacation tomorrow, are you actually prepared to handle it? Thanks for exploring this explainer with me, and stay safe out there.